You've joined me for Music in My Life. Thank you, and you're most welcome. Today I'll be joined by Kirk. Keith is a composer and also works in the music industry for companies such as Universal Music, one of the largest record labels and film labels in the world. He'll be sharing his own personal experiences in the music industry and also what inspires him in his compositions. Now, you've probably recognized that music because that's music from the biggest selling album of all time. Yes, it's Michael Jackson's Thriller. In fact, it's sold so many copies that people cannot agree on how many tens or hundreds of millions that album has actually sold. But that iconic production was a result of a painstaking process of finding songs and just finding that right sound. It's reported that Michael Jackson and his producer, Quincy Jones, at the time, wanted to do something to save the music industry. They wanted something which was iconic, something that would have a dramatic impact on the music world. And reports have it that there are about 800 songs in total written for the project. Now, you cannot fit 800 songs onto a CD unless they're all 2 seconds each. But that was whittled down to a final list of 12. And even in that 12, song choices were made, they were changed. In fact, the original title of the album was Starlight, but then it was changed to Thriller to give it a lot more commercial impact. And so many of today's pop musicians have cited that particular album as well as that particular artist as a massive influence. And apparently, there's one morning, Michael Jackson was in the studio crying at the desk, because they were partway through production, and he was saying, we wanted to create this sound. I'm not going to put on a Michael Jackson voice, but we wanted to create this iconic sound, but we haven't found it. We haven't found that sound. We need to do something about this. And they went back to the drawing board. They said, okay, we need to get maybe some more musicians in, add some additional instruments, change arrangements, try out different production ideas. The engineer at the time was an engineer, Swedish-American engineer by the name of Bruce Swedian. And for the song, Billie Jean, apparently they did about 90 mixes, different mixes of that before they could actually find the right one. Now that album went on to garner 8 Grammy Awards. I think it's the biggest number of Grammys which have ever been won for an album. And it was something that has remained the best-selling album of all time to the present day, and I don't think it will ever be surpassed. And when the Grammys were being dished out, another American soul singer by the name of Patti Austin was there, and she said it was almost disturbing because she said human beings are not hardwired to receive all that accolade. But this was a result of hard work, and an album is somebody pouring out their heart and their soul. It's a window into their life, and they hope that through it, that somebody else can feed off that, and that they can actually express somebody else's experience, and through that, a person can find some joy, some healing, a way of dealing with their own emotions or internal struggles. So it'd be interesting today to dig a little deeper into the background and the science and the psychology behind production. I recognize that piano playing. It's the piano playing of Kirk. Keith, welcome to Music in My Life. It's really great to have you here.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Harmonies. Like me, we have this affinity, this love. We're drawn to harmony. Where did it come from in your life?
It began at an early age. I grew up in the West Indies on a campus where there was a full, rich presence of music, but especially a cappella music.
Okay.
And so I was singing in choirs and groups and singing on stage. So you had to know your part and you had to sing with other people. So that became my ear training when it came to harmony and singing and all that kind of stuff.
Wow, that's fantastic. Now, you are a producer, composer, singer, but you also work for one of the largest record labels in the world, Universal Music, and you have a very interesting job, well, certainly an interesting job title.
Yes, I'm a metadata support and training analyst.
Okay.
So basically that entails two parts. Universal, of course, has many artists around the world, and everything is about iTunes now. Everybody knows iTunes. You download your music from iTunes, but there's a process of getting your music onto iTunes. And iTunes has a specific way of how that music is presented on their platform.
Right.
And I basically check to make sure it's all correct, and then it gets sent off to iTunes.
So what kind of things do you check? Is it
Checking everything from
the quality of the music or the
Another department does that. I am just checking data, make sure everything from spelling, punctuation, everything from dimensions of the cover art, translations, because we have Universal is worldwide in all sorts of territories, so all the translations has to be right, all that kind of stuff has to be in a specific format before it can be uploaded to iTunes.
Great. Well, we're going to focus on your role as producer. Now, many people obviously hear the term producer, and they have in their mind what a producer does, but sometimes a lot of them are wrong. So can you just put us straight? What is production? What does a producer do on a record?
Well, producer produces music, basically. makes something into a full-fledged product. So I normally like to liken it to a movie. You have the script, you have the actors, you have all that kind of stuff, and then the director comes in and pulls it all together. So that's exactly what a producer does. Someone may come with a song, they may just have a few lines or whatever. The producer kind of shapes and forms and makes the song into something quite beautiful.
So what is the difference between what a producer does and the director does, or is there overlap? Is it one of the same? Is it just... There's
a lot of overlap, but obviously a producer of music shapes the sound and makes this piece of music into... well, it will involve like the bass and the drums and the keys and the guitar and putting all those things together. And you may have those basic elements, but then you might put strings on, you might put percussion on, you might have the background vocals, the soloist, and all those things need to has a specific space in the music. Right. Just like the movies, the actors here, the stuntman, the this, the that. This is like a jigsaw puzzle that the director or the producer is putting together so that you get the full picture.
And what sort of things have you produced?
I've done everything from commercials for advertising agencies to albums to choir music, solo music. I've done theatre, which was a lot of fun. I did theatre. I haven't done a movie yet, which is what I really love to do.
I love your optimism when you put that word yet. It just leaves the possibility.
It's coming.
It's coming, and I'm sure it definitely will come. How long is a process? A sort of a typical process. I know it's difficult. How long is a piece of string, but it's sort of typical production process.
Typically, industry standard, quote unquote, is about 12 to 18 months to get a really good product out. Now, artists are really trying to even get it out in 6 months. Because the music producers are working a lot faster, and you're trying to make a quick turnover and all that kind of stuff. So I would say 12 to 16 months to really produce something really special, from writing all the music to production to manufacturing and all that. Well, not much manufacturing is happening anymore because of MP3s and iTunes. Right. But the process is really condensed now, so it's taken a lot shorter time to come out.
Right. Well, we're going to talk in just a moment about getting a little bit deeper into the, the whole sort of psychological aspect and what you have to be as a producer more than just, sorting out who's going to play and who's going to engineer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I think, now it's time for a little bit of music.
Okay.
And I thought what would be interesting is if I were to give you an idea,
Okay.
and then you can just shape it.
Sure.
As a producer.
And
I'll try my then, if it comes out well, then you've got the job.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to come up with ideas. So, all right. So I'll sing a couple of lines, and then I want you to, well, just tell me how you would approach them. So I've got this song. The day is dark. Mm-hmm. And I have sadness in my heart.
Okay, well, I first need to find the key. That's the first thing I need to do.
It's G.
Right, G major.
So the day is dark, and I have sadness in my heart.
Okay. Firstly, if I'm working with the artists like that, and they start off like that, I want to know, is that a comfortable key for you, first of all?
Right.
Is that a key that you can sing in? Where is it go? Is it going to a place where you may strain? If not, I can lower the key for you, or if it's too low for you, I can make it higher.
Okay.
So that's how it will start. Now, it's always good if the person can sing the song as well.
Yeah.
Because you have some people who they only have words. So as you were able to sing the melody, I can kind of follow you and sort of kind of preempt where you're going to go based on the lines you're singing.
Okay, great. So I'm going to complete the line now.
Okay.
The day is dark, and I have sadness in my heart, but you bring sunshine to me. Now, would you ever tell a client, well, actually, that's just a completely bad idea, that's just not going to work?
No idea is a bad idea.
Okay.
No idea is a bad idea. Everything is possible. Everything can be turned into something.
Right.
And you have a lot of clients who said, oh, this song is so terrible, wow, I don't have a great voice. And I always say, I've heard the worst. And it reached a point when I was working in studios where you can have the worst voice. I can hear in my head the polished product. So you can sing as bad as you are. I'm hearing what it's supposed to be.
Okay.
And that comes with spending a lot of time in the studio and working on songs and stuff like that.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And a bit of cheating here and there.
Well,
been a big discussion about that, the use of what we call auto-tune.
Auto-tune, yes.
Which some singers, of course, use to effect, as an effect, but some singers use because there's defects.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. But there's actually another program called Melodyne.
Oh, yes.
Which is absolutely, you can sing every note in the wrong way, and Melodyne can pitch correct everything, and you would not hear, it won't sound mechanical or robotic, it sounds natural. It's done truly wonders, a lot of wonders.
Right, yeah, and you can actually sort of even change the tune, because it just gives a graphic image, and you just take your note there, put it there, and completely and utterly change your tune. And sometimes changing your tune is an essential part, isn't it, of production? Because sometimes just if a note goes one way, it can just bring a completely different expression.
That's very correct. That's correct. But programs like that are to be used sparingly. It's not specifically to change the note, really. If someone sings great like Whitney Houston, I'm sure, she sang many times in the studio, and she may have sang a little note a little off. The producer can just fix that little thing instead of having to sing over the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because portions of that may be so beautiful, he will not want to get her to sing that again, or he may not be able to capture that again. So they just fix it.
Well, what I want to do is actually put that little song together, which I've just done. So I'm going to come to the piano and and play along with you.
Okay.
Okay. So you can add Just imagine you've got the string section, you're adding the strings at
Okay.
the top there, or whatever, the additional bits. And then I'm just going to, I'll take it in directions that not even I will know where I'm going.
Okay.
But then we could just sort of see what
Sure,
comes of that.
sure.
Okay. So,
Are you going to say?
do you want to? I don't know. It depends whether it's the strings or the keyboard. The day's done, and I've got sadness in my heart. But you bring sunshine to me. The day's dark, and I've got sadness in my heart. But you bring sunshine to me. Sunshine to me. You bring sunshine to me. So when the day is dark and there's sadness deep down in my heart, you bring sunshine to me.
Right.
That's great. I mean, you know, I've been telling people we can split the royalties when it becomes a massive hit. But you know, you heard you heard a hit. I know it's really interesting because I mean, you did something really just quite simple, but it's all the different elements really that it makes it. And sometimes there's too much, you know. I mean, I know my personal productions, some of my early stuff that I've actually done. It's just completely saturated because I've got too many ideas, and I'm thinking actually.
To put out a lot of that.
Put a lot of that. Yeah.
You know, I learned at university that my professor at university always used to say in our orchestral class that silence is just as important as, you know, hearing the note. So a song like that, it's all about the space and leaving the space for the song to breathe. Put too much in there, there's no space for the song to breathe.
Right. So, I mean, part of dealing with singers, obviously, is that day when they come into the studio and they just don't feel like singing, you know. So how do you deal? Because you've got to almost become like a psychologist, really, to them. And of course, it's money, isn't it? You know, it's production money being spent, but they come in and they just don't feel like, for whatever reason, they had an argument with the other half or something like that, or
Well, I usually have millionaires. They have a lot of money to spend. No, I'm joking. But no. Obviously, as a producer, you want to get the best out of them. So if they come in and not at their best, it's probably not best to go behind the mic. So it may turn into a counseling session. It may turn into us having a conversation, a friend to friend, them letting what's on their heart out, which sometimes turn into something really useful, which sometimes it can turn into something that informs what we're trying to do.
Right.
But a lot of times, if that happens, I would make a decision whether if they're at the place to record or not.
Right.
So it depends on the person.
And if not, sort of go home, get yourself together, and come back when you're ready.
Yes, I've got another session in half an hour. Yeah, so yeah.
And I mean, what is it about? Because you mentioned sometimes at dark places something really great can come out. But what is it? Do you think about? I mean, do you have an explanation as to or a take on why the dark place would produce a better song or a better thing? Is it the experience? Or I mean, because when we're doing that exercise just there, I mean, I was thinking of words, and I chose a dark, my day's dark. But then I said, okay, I don't want to dwell in darkness. I want to bring some sunshine to it. So,
it's almost always a better thing to get your inspiration from those places because they're genuine. Sometimes as a musician, as a producer, you can regurgitate stuff that you've done before.
Right.
So it's so unnatural, it's so kind of plastic, it's not real. But when you get that inspiration from something that's real, that's from deep inside, it's very unique, like a fingerprint. So two people can have a deep place, but there's two different types of deep places.
Okay. Well, I mean, you've witnessed a lot of other people's inspiration.
Yes.
Of course, you're a songwriter yourself. So, in your own songwriting, what inspires you?
Man, I've had the most weird inspiration has come in the shower, in bed, or riding on the train. Anything. I won't say anything, but it just comes from a certain place. There's no specific place. I might hear something, I might hear a baby crying, or I may hear a little rhythm or something, and that makes it, when you hear that piece of rhythm, you hear a whole song.
Right.
And you want to rush to record it or get your phone to record it so you can go home into the studio and get it down. So it's just everything around you, life, the wind in the trees, the flowers, the sound of the cars in the street, anything. It can come from anywhere.
Okay. And when did you write your first song? Can you recall?
First song, well, how I learned to play the piano, I taught myself to play.
Right.
And in doing that, I started writing melodies.
Okay.
And that's where the song came from, just trying to learn to play and play chords and put chords together. Then this song came out. So.
Right, so I'm going to ask you to share one of your songs.
Okay.
Can you think of one?
Yes, there's one that I wrote many years ago when I was in my teens, I think, called Giving My Best. I'll try to remember it.
Right, what's the inspiration behind that particular song?
Well, I grew, as I said, I grew up on a campus, and it was, the musicians were really, really good, and I wanted to be good as well. I wanted to do my best, so this was about giving my best in everything I do. Whatever I put forward, it's my best efforts.
Okay. Well, we're going to swap places, and I'm just going to listen to you actually giving your best.
Okay.
With Giving My Best.
All right. Giving my best to you, no compromising in my life. I'm giving my best to you, you are the only sacrifice. You've bled and died for me, high upon that tree. Now I stand before your presence, Lord. My life, you set it free. way upon that hill called Calvary. Now I sing, I shall give glory to your name. I know my life. I know my life. I know my life will never be the same.
Thanks very much. What age were you when you wrote that?
I was about 18, probably.
2 years ago. All right. Well, look, we've got about half a minute. I think we should just do a little bit of piano improv.
Sure.
What do you think?
Sure. Let's do it like this.
Hey, Keith, thanks very much. It's been a great joy having you and listening to all the things that you are and all the things that you do, and all the best for the future.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Today we've explored what it feels like to enter into somebody's world, to feel their heart, to find out what makes them tick, and to turn that into something tangible which can help others to sometimes deal with their own situations. In a way, a producer's role is what we can call empathetic or sympathetic. Maybe you need to listen to somebody's song and hear what they are saying. Somebody may need to hear your song and hear what you are saying. In a way, that makes us all producers. Join me once again for Music in My Life.